Good morning. Thank you so much for being here on this beautiful day. Been assured the rain will hold off. Mr. Hayden, could you sit down so we could get started? Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. It's a beautiful day. Let me tell you a little bit about why we're here and what we're doing. This is our second annual Spring Fountain Celebration, where we are turning the fountain back on. The fountain's been off since November 14th, and we all know and understand and appreciate why we do that November 14th. That's in honor of the 75 people who lost their lives November 14th, 1970. But when I first got here about 3 years ago, Coach Jack Lengyel and several members of the Young Thundering Herd. And when I say the Young Thundering Herd, those are in my mind, the heroes of Marshall University athletics and Marshall University football, came to me and they said, "Mike, we appreciate and understand November 14th, 1970 better than anyone. We lost teammates, we lost friends, in some cases we lost family. But we would like for you to consider having an event in the spring to where we can turn the fountain on to celebrate the rebirth of Marshall football. And in no way, Mike, do we want this to overshadow what you do November 14th every year." Well, make a long story short, here we are today for our second turning the fountain ceremony back on. And I appreciate Coach Lengyel, and I appreciate the members of the Young Thundering Herd. Many of them are here today. Many of them who've lived through many tough periods in their life, but one thing they care and love is Marshall University and Marshall University football. So we have a little program this morning. We appreciate you being here, and to welcome you here this morning is a man who is as supportive of Marshall athletics as any president that I've ever worked for, and believe me, I've worked for several. He cares and he believes and he gets it about athletics and what it does for a university. To welcome you this morning, our president, Dr. Stephen J. Kautz.
Thank you, Mike, and welcome everybody. It's great to have you here today. To all of the members of our Thundering Herd football team, those who are current members and those who played for us in the past, a very, very special welcome. It's great to see. Doc, it looks like the whole team's here. Fantastic. To all of you who are joining us this morning, I'd like to share with you some information that perhaps you know, perhaps you don't know, about the fountain. In late 2007, and this is a customary practice on the part of the university, we brought a structural engineer to come in and assess the platform the fountain sits on. We're always looking to see if it's in good shape and whether there was anything that was needed. Well, the report that we got back from the structural engineer was very disturbing. The assessment that they gave us was that if we did not rebuild the fountain to support that beautiful structure, there was a very real possibility that it would collapse. And so, working together with the foundation, we embarked on a program and the necessary funding to literally rebuild the fountain from the ground up. And the most stressful part of that project was when they lifted the fountain off the pedestal and set it off to the side, and then when we put it back on after we had rebuilt the fountain. We rededicated the fountain on April 9th, 2008. And as you look at the fountain today, and if you go back and watch the We Are Marshall movie, you'll notice that the fountain had a cement base that was painted blue, not a granite base like it has now. And you might even have taken the point of view that I'm not sure it looked quite like a memorial fountain at that point in time. but it most definitely does now. The folks that helped us restore that fountain and reinforce the pedestal so that it's going to be there for hundreds of years, we are very, very thankful for, and especially the donors who helped us with the cost of that project. The new granite base is a brilliant structure and now securely supports the fountain for many, many generations to come. When the water is flowing, the sculpture appears to float on the water, just as the sculptor Harry Bertoia had envisioned. And when we rebuilt it, we specifically ensured that that's exactly how it looks. Whether you view this magnificent monument as an opening to the healing power of the water, with the pedestals opening, or closing in sadness to the event it symbolizes, the flowing water is a powerful symbol of life and rebirth. Through this fountain's flowing waters, those who perish live on forever in the hearts of family, friends, and the entire Marshall University community, and to the many newcomers who have discovered our university since 1970. As Mike mentioned, we gather here today to celebrate life and remind ourselves of the power within us to shape our own future and our own destiny. Marshall University today is thriving thanks to the dedication of many, many people, our entire Marshall University community and friends, and especially to our donors and supporters who helped us rebuild this program, the football program, and have continued to work with us in the building of this university for the future. I've told Doc this, and he understands where I'm coming from on this, and I want to remind our entire football team, the time is now for Marshall's football program to reclaim its championship caliber play and soar with the rest of the university. My charge to this team coming up with the fall season is to, again, restore, rebuild, and dedicate yourselves to championship football and bringing championships to Marshall University. Have a great day, everybody.
Our first speaker today really needs no introduction, and no, it is not Matthew McConaughey. It is his look-alike. You know, one thing, the 2011 football season was capped off with a bowl win and 7 wins, 5 wins in Conference USA, the most wins Marshall University football has had in Conference USA since we joined. But we also played the 9th toughest football schedule in the country, the 9th. And many people asked Coach Holliday about that, and he said, "Coach, how does it feel to play the toughest football schedule in the history of Marshall football?" And Coach Holliday would reply with all sincerity and candidness and would say, "The toughest football season in the history of Marshall University was 1971. 1971 was the toughest football season ever. The toughest opponents, the toughest schedule, the toughest everything." And the guy who led the Young Thundering Herd, who started the rebirth of Marshall football, is here with us today, and he comes back every spring and he does everything he can to help me with this athletic program, and he's dedicated a part of his life to Marshall University. Please welcome former head coach, Coach Jack Lengyel.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, I'm always honored to be at Marshall University and the Memorial Fountain with the Young Thundering Herd and the Marshall University varsity football team and coaches and friends of Marshall. You know, I want to again to thank Dr. Kopp and Mike Hamrick for allowing the Young Thundering Herd football team to turn the Memorial Fountain on each spring. To honor all the coaches, the players, administrators, support staff, and boosters of the 1970 Marshall football team. And to be here together with Coach Doc Holliday and his staff to remember those that went before us. Doc, always good to see you here with your staff and your players. I remember what Nate Ruffin once said, the captain of the 1970 football team and the captain of the Young Thundering Herd, always said about his former teammates. He said that as long as I live, I shall always tell the story. As long as we tell the story, they shall live. Nate Ruffin would be very proud of this memorial service this morning because it's the continuation of his message and goal in his life. For all of us gathered here today, and for all the future generations of Marshall football players who will hear this story, they will continue to live through all of our memories forever. Thank you.
Before I start, we need to give a big hand to the cheerleaders. They just finished a tournament in Florida, and they came in 3rd place. Let's give them a great big hand. And the 2012 football team, let's give them a big hand. I want to dedicate my speech today to all the surviving families, the 75 surviving families. All right, let's get started. It's game day. Are you ready for 2012 football season? Good morning. Good morning. Dr. Cobb? See, Tyler, where'd you move on me? He took off on me. Tyler, where are you? Hello, Tyler out there. Mike, thank you so much for everything that you do. Thank you. Coach Lengyel, thank you for everything that you've done for me in my life.
Thank you.
Chris, thank you for what you've done for our university. All alumni, this weekend means a lot to us. Students, committee members, our Marshall community, thank you. You are my family. You've kept us going all these from that moment. To get us moving forward on this year's journey, let me start by giving you a thought from Phyllis Diller, the comedian of the 70s. She once asked, "Do you know the reason why women don't play football? It's because 11 of them would never wear the same outfit in public." Now that I have your attention, let's talk about football. Turning on the fountain today symbolizes the 75 lives that will live in our hearts forever. Each time we walk by it, we remember and reflect what their lives stand for. You are a part of it too. Be a winner every day of your life. I want to inspire you to create a legacy for yourself with 3 basic qualities. Be passionate. Be committed. Be an encourager to others. We are so grateful to have the former athletes who return each year to give back to our community and our university. They reflect the spirit of what this university is about. I stand before you as a former cheerleader, a 1971 graduate, the daughter of the former athletic director, Charles E. Kautz. My dad was always an inspiration to me, and he had passion and commitment. He always found encouraging athletes and students to strive for perfection in whatever their endeavors. He had an unmatched love for Marshall University. I thoroughly enjoyed my college life. My dad was always there when I needed him. Cheering was a big part of my life in my college experience as I pursued my elementary education. I later spent most of my career teaching students in Cabell County. During those college years, I was a member of Sigma 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 sorority, and I worked at the ticket office in Gollickson Hall. During my senior year, I completed my student teaching at Barbersville Elementary. My mentor was Mrs. Pearson, who inspired me with the desire to unleash a child's creativity. My teaching years and volunteering served as a preparation for me to make a difference. Every child needs a mentor, a person they can look up to. I left teaching briefly to become a flight attendant in the early years of 2000. My favorite day at work was when I was making my announcements and the lady in the back of the plane was waving her hands like she was having a heart attack. Well, I stopped my speech and I went back to check on her. She wanted to know if my name was Lucianne Kautz. I said yes, and she proceeded to tell me she was Mrs. Mayfield, my 4th grade teacher. I met so many wonderful people being a flight attendant. Some people later became my good friends. In 2006, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. The We Are Marshall movie was getting ready to be released, and I had worked on the committee to bring the families back to Huntington. My friends and family recommended that I have my surgery before the premiere. I attended the premiere and had such emotional and rewarding experience. We are so thankful for everyone who took part in that event. No words can describe it. My youngest son, Jared, MU class of 2003, had a small role in the film. It is my favorite scene. It is at the cemetery where my dad is buried. Several of the football players were laid to rest there also. This was the scene, the pep talk by Coach Lengyel, that started the football team on its path to becoming the Young Thundering Herd. Every time I meet a football player or an athlete from that era, they remind me of the difference my father made in their lives. I am so blessed today to have 4 children and 7 grandchildren. Marshall made a difference in my life, and now I have the opportunity to give back to it. I challenge each and every one of you today to set yourself on a course to become significant in the lives of others. As we turn this fountain on today, let our light shine for Marshall University. No matter where we go, we are ambassadors of this great institution. Show your true colors, Kelly green and white. How do you wish to be remembered? As the movie states, when you take that field today, you've got to lay your heart on the line, from the soles of your feet, with every ounce of blood in your body, from this moment on. How you play today will be how you will be remembered. Take this opportunity and grab glory. Be passionate about Marshall. Be committed to Marshall. May you always be an encourager to others. God bless, and we are Marshall! We are Marshall! God bless.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mike. You know, anytime I get to come back to Marshall, I'm more than happy, especially when John Sutherland signs me up for something that I don't find out a week before I'm supposed to do it. So, you know, thank you, John. I appreciate it. But he knows I'm always willing and able to come back. And, you know, I've always appreciated my experiences, you know, coming here. And before I came to Marshall, you know, all I'd ever heard about was the plane crash and the tragedy that the university had suffered in 1970. And so, you know, coming to this community, and I say community because that's what we truly are as a community, and we're a tight-knit community, because, you know, the tragedy in '71 really connects, you know, the past and the future. And so, you know, me being a student athlete here would have never had the opportunity to come to Marshall and have the experiences that I had because of that day. And so, you know, turning on the fountain today really commemorates and celebrates those 75, you know, people who lost their lives. And so I've spent most of my pro career, you know, talking about my experiences at Marshall. I mean, you know, most people don't even ask me, you know, how was it playing with the Browns or how is it playing with the Bengals? Because fortunately, I've spent most of my career in the Midwest, where there's a huge Marshall following. And so, you know, I always talk about my experiences here, and, you know, it made me realize that I'm a true ambassador of the green and white. And so I'm so fortunate, you know, I've been able to play with both, you know, Chad and Byron, not only in my college career, but in my professional career, which is, I'm probably the only student athlete to do that. So, You know, there are all types of experiences and stories that I have, and so I'm very, very appreciative. And you know, I can look out in the crowd today, and I see, you know, people who have put a stamp on my life and who really helped me transcend and become the person I am today. And so, you know, I truly do believe green and white, and so, excuse me, green and white, not blue and white. And so, you know, I'm truly happy about today, and that's what this weekend is all about, is transcending and going forward. And there's so many other things that the university has done, you know, since I've gone or stepped away for such a short time, and we're all, you know, should be proud of those things. So with that, I'd like to say thank you, and let's have a good weekend.
Please know that the fountain will be on continuously until it will be turned off on November the 14th. With that said, thank you very much for coming.